I think that there's elements of entrepreneurship in all of us. Whether you're working in a corporate or you're working for yourself. But again, the one who's working for themselves needs a different makeup. You need to be, again, self-starter. You need to have the ideas. You need to have the drive and understanding that basically there's nobody else standing for you. You've got to generate your own income. And then one working for corporate, at least there's a salary, whether it's commission-based or it's a portion of that. But again, to me, I mean, whether I was working for myself or for corporate, it's the same, wanting to deliver the best and contribute to the success of whatever you're working on.
Hello everyone, welcome to another beautiful episode. Today we have a nice guest. This person is very experienced. This person, he has started from the bottom and made it all the way up, starting as an analyst to being a portfolio manager. He has worked as a fund head at Eris Properties. Then he also worked for Marriott, Investec, and Stanlib. So this is a very smart man. Not only did he just study, but he made it all the way to MBA. He studied an MBA when MBAs were rare. So he got his MBA at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and his thesis was about listed properties. So I relate a lot to this guest because he's similar to me in a sense that he's all about anything to do with property and investing. I repeat, he's about anything to do with property and investing. The true definition of this show. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's please give a warm welcome to Vuyani Bekwa. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all good, all good.
Great. Please tell me, how do you normally start your day?
I'm getting older now. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, sometimes earlier. Do some exercises, go through a word of the day. That's important to me. It grounds you. You end up understanding sort of motivating yourself. And that's my day starting.
Nice. What's the word of today?
Let's not go there for now.
Okay. And then once you get started with the morning, do you work at home or do you travel to work?
No, I travel to work. Depending on if the kids are at school or not. So it'll be a hustle and bustle in the morning, getting everybody ready for school, get myself ready for work and the wife. And then it's travel to work. Drop the kids off and then to work. And of course, everybody works from normally 8 to 5. That's a day. Okay.
So it's wake up, prepare for the day, go to work. And then after work, how's your routine?
Routine, I'm part of do the housework, cook if it's my turn, help around the house, and then now because I'm studying as well, once supper's done, to the books, go through your day, prepare for tomorrow. So it's work, maybe until 10 o'clock at night, and then it's time for rest.
Oh wow, that's so cool. What are you studying now?
Now I'm doing the RE5 as part of the phase exam.
Yeah. Interesting, because I think a man like you would be done studying.
No, never done learning, eh?
Yeah, it's continuous, eh?
Continuous.
Yeah. Talking about studying, I was looking at your thesis. How do you feel about it now? Because your thesis was way back. So how do you feel about it now?
I think it still has a place. I mean, I took a 10-year period, looking at that period. So I think during that time, listed property or REITs were not in favor. I think they made up about 2% of the JSE. I think now they've come up slightly. I think probably they make about 5 to 7%. If one looks at that period, if one looks at that period, again, as I said, REITs were not in favor, and now there's Growth Point in the top 40, there's Redefine in the top 40. They've really come from strength to strength.
Wow, that's crazy. It's mind-boggling for a young man like me to hear you saying that REITs didn't have a place at all, you know? What made that happen?
I think, remember, REITs were formed, I think, when a lot of the insurance companies in SA opened up and wanted to liquidate, not liquidate, but a lot of the capital, a lot of their capital was tied up in direct property. So what they wanted to do was to ensure that at least now there's liquidity available. And for instance, if there's any withdrawals, they can easily liquidate portfolios. So that's when REITs came about, funds being invested on the JSE.
Oh wow, okay, that's very interesting. Then, looking back at school and you knowing such things like this, how did you get into investing in the first place?
Long process. Came around a long way around. I wanted to be an architect. So I did 2 years at school, and I think design was not my main focus. With architecture, design is basically the main thing because it's what makes you an architect. All the other supporting subjects I was very good at, but the main one, design, was, I think, there's something I was struggling with. So I had to change courses. Focused on economics, which is an easier but more interesting course. And also I'd always been good with maths, even though sort of the design side of it was also I was quite good at, in terms of drawing, taking art, I think in grade 9. So when I changed, it was easy for me to do economics.
Okay, so you changed from studying architecture and
did economics. Then it was a progression from economics to an analyst. Then from analyst, as I said, good in maths, accounting, that sort of came through as well. So converting to be an analyst, I think was just the right way for me.
It was also seamless.
Yeah, seamless.
Okay. When you became an analyst, what was the most challenging thing at that point?
I think because I hadn't done accounting as a base at school, it was a bit of a challenge. But I mean, you pick up these things if you understand what makes a business work. Because I'd done business economics at varsity as well, so it wasn't. Again, the transitioning was not too bad, but it's more sort of understanding now the more intricate side of accounting. But as an analyst, especially investment analyst now, not one working for a stockbroking firm, you didn't really need to be a CA to be an investment analyst. So that worked in my favor. I mean, I understood balance sheets, understood income statements, what makes a company tick, what makes an investment tick as well. So you move from sort of slowly understanding things.
Oh wow, great, man. And then while we're there, what was the most challenging day at work for you? How was that like?
I think there was one learns over time. I mean, I think the major one was I spoke earlier before the cameras started about trying to do the right thing for investors. The fact that I think I'd made a mistake in terms of overselling, because I think one of the mandates that we ran was for a prominent pension fund. This is when I was at Investec. and they had a limit of 5% in cash, and I ended up going up to 10%. Again, the mentality of trying to protect your investors. And of course, when the market turned and we were sitting on a lot more cash than we should have been sitting in, now the investors say, why did you do this? Why were you sitting in cash? You're now underperforming the market. And say, guys, I was trying to protect you. Okay, I did breach the mandate, but that was not intentional.
What did you learn from that experience?
Well, let's stick to the mandates. Do what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Hectic.
Don't
Wow.
put your own views into the mix. Yeah.
So that's actually a very interesting perspective, because it takes us back to what we also spoke about off camera. Like one of my team member was reading a book called Trading in the Zone. So there was a scenario where, in fact, it was a lesson where the author was saying, you can read books, but when you try to take action, you fail because you're too much on reading.
Yeah.
You can do and not read the books and do, and then you fail because you skipped some information.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
Now, I think our discussion around the trading, for instance, I think to me, on-the-job training counts a lot, because what it does is that it's not necessarily all about theory, it's about practical mostly. So you learn a lot in terms of on-the-job training.
Okay, so you prefer more in being practical.
Yeah.
By the way, are you a reader?
I used to be an avid reader in my younger days, but with kids, I think that's dropped quite a lot. If I remember, I think the last book I read was Phil Knight, the guy who started Nike. And I think what I learned from him is that, it's all about incremental steps, and also, I suppose, getting lucky in terms of your approach as well. I suppose the more you do, the more you get lucky.
Oh, okay. And then what are your top three favorite books of all time?
As I said, I think as part of my process in the morning, reading the word of the day. So I do catch up on that definitely, but it's not. I try and catch up at least one on a lesson for the day in the mornings. If I miss it, in the evenings, so that I'm always constantly aware of. And then I've said, I think the last one I've read was Phil Knight. I used to read quite a lot, mostly fictions. Wilbur Smith, Dion Meyer. Those are mostly South African authors. But from a business point of view, I catch up a lot on things like business, Financial Times, Business Day in the morning. So it's not necessarily sort of going through books at the moment.
Okay, you talked about dropping off the kids to school. So obviously this means you're a leader. And even at home and at work, you're a leader. What makes you a good leader?
I think it's listening to what the people around you are looking for, and then setting the right course for them to follow. Yeah.
Is it easy being a leader?
It's never easy, but it's something that you take up and do it if it's something that needs to be done.
Do you think it's prestigious to be a leader?
I think for me, it's about the people that you work with, ensuring that you show direction for them, almost like being a servant leader, to say, guys, you listen a lot to what the people that you lead want and are crying for, and you give them the best that you can based on what you can offer.
No, I hear what you're saying. So we've touched on the worst day at work. What was the best day at work for you?
I think recently I set up an investment platform where I was able to secure about 1.3 billion rand for us to invest. That was when I was still at Eris. I think that that whole process of having set something up from scratch, raising capital on your own, and making sure that everybody in that platform as investors are comfortable with the processes going forward. I think that was a very good period in my life.
Wow, you raised 3 billion. That's good. How was the journey like? What happened?
No, tough, but I mean, it all involves meeting people, convincing them, discussing, to say, guys, are you comfortable with this approach? No, let's change it to here. Because initially what I'd wanted to do was set up, for instance, a Pan-African platform, which would include us being able to invest into other countries. But for instance, one of the investors, the early investors in the platform, said, no, our members are only in SA, therefore let's try and focus on SA. So we changed our whole thinking around that. And then everybody else fell in. All the other subsequent investors fell in, and they were comfortable with the approach.
Wow. Since you can raise 3 billion, one of my researchers was telling me that you need 1.6 billion to start a bank. So that means you can start a bank.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that for now. Eh?
Okay, I like your answer. So you're not sure about starting a bank, but you're sure about raising funds for a property investment. What do you love about property?
I think, as I said, wanting to be an architect, I think for me it's more sort of about building something from nothing. You basically see a piece of land, nothing, somebody designs a concept, gets approved, you put in the services, see something coming up for 12, 24 months, or however long it takes for the construction period to go through. And then you find something beautiful at the end of it.
Yeah, that's fulfilling, right?
Very, very fulfilling.
Yeah, I like that.
And also remember, that's a legacy because, for instance, we did projects in Ghana, 2 projects in Ghana. Now I can go to Ghana and say to my kids and to my grandkids, say, guys, I was involved in that project from the word go. I think to me that's basically sets a tone.
How do you guys pick countries to invest in?
Previously, again, when I was at Eris, we'd set up a mandate for a Pan-African platform. The countries that we chose were more sort of English-speaking countries where the laws were similar to SA, where it was easy to understand and also easy to execute, where it was business-friendly, also easy to move money in and out of the country. Because I think that's the key. You can invest into something as long as I can then get my money back. I think that's easiest.
Oh, okay. So are you also into that whole trending thing of investing in developing countries, or are you just looking for good returns?
No, I think investing in developing countries is that's the next step. You want to see everybody thrive across the globe. But again, it's a matter of whether you're able to, when you've invested in that country, you're able to get your money out. But I think that's the important part. Yeah. Mm.
By the way, while we're still on the topic of your favorite day at work, you were able to get 3 billion. How do you reward yourself after achieving something you always wanted?
Glass of wine, maybe a holiday, but more, I think it's more sort of pat yourself on the back more than anything. And also seeing, depending on what you're doing, seeing the results of your work. For instance, with the student accommodation platform, that 1.3 billion that we'd raised was for that. We'd set up developments in Cape Town. We've got one in Kimberley that is in the process of being completed. And we did one in Braamfontein, focusing on verts. So when you see those that are up and you see students going into the or staying there and interacting with them to say, guys, how do you feel about the place that you now staying in, and they're very happy and they like what the interaction with the building that you constructed or you funded. They very basically get a satisfaction out of that.
That's so nice, hey? I like what you're telling me. So now, what's intriguing is that we're in an age where there's a lot of learning online, and you guys are still investing in student accommodation. How do you justify that?
Well, in 2020, 2019, 2020, the president of the country basically put a call to action for investors to invest in student accommodation because there was a huge shortage. We understood the nuance between online learning and actually physically constructing buildings. But I think even from a social perspective, you really want people to interact face to face, not necessarily just via sort of computers online. So it makes a lot of sense for us to be comfortable with that approach. Because also the way that you do the buildings is to make sure that should there be anything over time, you can convert them to one-bedroom apartments for social housing. So it's not necessarily one sector that you're investing into. You're setting up the structure for future generations.
Okay. It sounds like, as I said, in fact, not that it sounds like you have a lot of experience and you've done a lot. What challenges you right now?
Well, I've just joined a new company, MSM Property Fund. We're busy setting up another platform again, and hopefully investors will support us. The platform that we're setting up, we're focusing on property and infrastructure. So at the moment, I'm busy capital raising, so that's challenging. In discussions with a lot of investors at the moment, who we're trying to convince to support us. So I think once we've given ourselves 3 to 6 months to try and close out on that, and hopefully by the end of that 6 months, we'll be smiling, and not only smiling but also investing, because the intent is to make sure that the economy grows, and also we try. There's a lot of challenges that SA is realizing at the moment. So if you can add value and contribute to those upliftment of the economy, again, it'll be a pat on the back.
Nice. So you've done it all. You've been an analyst, portfolio manager. Now you're a fund manager. What's your favorite part of being a fund manager?
I think it's the decision making, and also again the steps in terms of find something to invest into, understand why you're investing in something, and what is the potential outcome. When that outcome is realized as you foresaw it in the beginning, again it's the comfort that you know what you're doing over a period of time.
I love your answer. You said it's decision making. As you know, these days with technology and everything, critical thinking and decision making are high value skills, right? Yeah. So how do you approach decision making?
I think with an outcome in mind. If you know where you're going, it's just a matter of now, step by step, say, how do I get there?
And then how do you approach problem solving?
More similar. Be very critical of yourself, and also try and understand the problem or the main issue of the problem itself. And try and navigate and make sure that you can resolve the problem.
Yeah. So what's intriguing is that what if you trying to solve the problem, and as you said, look at the source of the problem, and the source of the problem is an employee. How do you approach firing or solving the person problem?
I think I've had to let go, I think, of 1 or 2 people. So as a person who loves people, it didn't sit very well, but I mean, you've got to do it. I think if somebody underperforms on a regular basis, it's something that you've got to do, even though it's not something that one loves doing. And also, I mean, giving people a second chance, I'm all about that. But again, if now I've given a second chance and you underperform again, then there's also no option but to execute on that.
Wow. Were there no any repercussions?
No, luckily, yeah.
Yeah, because these things can go south, eh? Wow, man.
No, but again, if you've given somebody a second chance, say, listen, I understand where you're coming from. These are the issues that have come out. Let's try and work on these. Try and improve on this and this and this and this. Should you be able to do this, then I think everything will be comfortable. And if again, I think you underperform on all of them, then there's no. The only solution, I suppose, is for us to part ways. Yeah.
And that's also reminding me of something called failure. I personally believe that every successful person did enjoy a form of failure some way, somehow. How do you deal with failure?
I see all of them as lessons. I mean, I've tried to own a few businesses on my own. I left Investec to start a renewable energy company, and the thinking that we're doing major infrastructure projects. Renewable energy is a buzzword in the country, and then for us, the project that we were working on didn't succeed. So now, but the learning out of that is that I learned contracting, I learned about renewable energy, I learned about capital raising, I learned about understanding debt, I learned about ensuring that my financial modeling background came in, so I improved on that. So it's only now that you learn that actually, but I'd learned that, or my failure in at that time is basically now coming through in terms of the lessons that you've learned. So it's not really failing, it's lessons again.
Wow. So basically saying that you took an L, you changed a loss into a lesson.
Exactly.
And now it's working out for you.
Definitely.
Wow, interesting. Nyatim Tetwa, the chairman of ESCOM, once said he's not a starter. Because remember, he's been a CEO for a while.
Yeah.
So he's been getting big packages, right? So they were asking him, why not start your own thing? He's like, he's not a starter, but he's a person who continues things, right? So in that same breath, should everyone be a founder and an entrepreneur?
I think that there's elements of entrepreneurship in all of us. Whether you're working in a corporate or you're working for yourself. But again, the one who's working for themselves needs a different makeup. You need to be, as again, self-starter. You need to have the ideas. You need to have the drive and understanding that basically there's nobody else standing for you. You've got to generate your own income. And then one working for corporate, at least there's a salary, whether it's commission-based or it's a portion of that. But again, to me, I mean, whether I was working for myself or for corporate, it's the same, wanting to deliver the best and contribute to the success of whatever you're working on. It's doing the best that you can at a point in time. Again, as I said, as long as everybody, if you're working for yourself, I mean, you're the one who's determining your future. If you're working for a corporate, you are sort of, somebody determines your future for you, even though you're contributing to them as much to their success as you are. But so it's a matter of understanding yourself personally, which area you want to be on your own, or just under some sort of protected mechanism, which is a corporate.
Okay, I hear you. You speak about corporate and entrepreneurship. With all the companies you've worked for, by the way, you've worked for awesome companies. With all the companies you worked for, which one was your favorite?
I liked Investec a lot, more because, again, it's a sort of entrepreneurial approach to business. You've got to be on top of your game all the time. And again, um, hard work, I suppose, good outcomes as well.
Okay, that's why you loved Investec.
Yeah.
If they give you an offer,
No, I'm busy now. I'm busy.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm busy. I'm on another plane now.
Yeah. What's keeping you mostly busy about this current plane you're in now?
As I said, I think I'm capital raising. I like what I'm doing. It's been a success, so I think that's what is pushing me. And again, wanting to see the outcomes of what one is trying to plan for.
So, on the issue of capital raising, you raise your capital. As I asked, is it best to use your own capital or to get leverage from the bank to push a real estate, to push a property investment? How do you view this?
Again, I think for investment property, I mean, in the private equity space, we like gearing, because what that does, that it means that you can invest into a lot more projects over time, and using leverage to get better return. We look at things like internal rate of return. So you put in a small, let's say 30% equity, and then you take 70% from a bank. At the end of, let's say, a 5-year period, 5 to 7 year period, you sell the property, and hopefully the value that you make will pay off the debt, will make a little bit of money for you. So you take your initial amount and compare it to the final amount that you've gotten, that you've realized from the sale of the property, and then that's your internal rate of return. At least if it's proper, then you shouldn't be making the same amount of money that you put in.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be making profits.
Yes, definitely.
So with that, it goes back to our conversation off camera when we talk about long-term investing, right? So the key to investing is time, and the key to time is life. How do you make sure that you have longevity, first of all?
Personally, I exercise. I'm trying to be out there, trying to be, yeah, try to be sort of live longer. But from an investment point of view, I mean, set your investments sort of more from medium-term investing. But if it's things like, depending on what you're investing, what you're looking at, things like life insurance, those are basically depending on when you pass on. But I mean, I think to me, I'll look at sort of things in 5 to 10 year increments. What do I want to achieve in this period? Again, once that period passes, you look at the next 10 years.
Okay, that's how you split it. Okay. And then you did mention that after you achieve success, you reward yourself with wine and a vacation there. What's your favorite vacation spot?
Mauritius. I've taken my wife there on honeymoon. I've been there, I think, when I was still at Investec. That's also the next step. That's where we're going. I mean, I like all the islands, Mauritius, Zanzibar. Also having traveled a lot through Africa, Kenya, Ghana. Internationally, I loved Romania. Also because it was different to the norm. I traveled through Turkey, but that was a very short stint. I haven't been to the US, but I'd love to go to the US just to get a sense of how things are there.
Okay, what did you like about Romania?
Again, as I said, it's totally different to what we used to. Um, One of the things actually that we did in one of the trips that were there was the dinner that we had was they eat. I'm used to from being from the Eastern Cape. You normally used to sheep's head. Their delicacy is pig's head.
Wow.
Yeah, so for me that was just okay. I'm not used to that one.
So iskopo sabo les.
Yeah.
So do you have that scopo?
No, I think we sort of dabbled a little bit, but it's not. It's not something you are used to. It's not something you are used to.
So you didn't eat the pig's head?
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, as I said, I grew up on sheep's head, so it's co-op. Yeah, totally something used to.
So, but what are you saying? Did you eat the pig's head a little bit?
No, I dabbled a little bit, but it's not. It wasn't my cup of tea.
Okay, now I hear you, man. You know what's interesting about you? You're a family man, and we can talk the whole day about investment and money, but what's the value of family?
I mean, family grounds you. You know what you're working with. You're guiding your kids to be the best that they can be. You've got a wife who supports you. You support her as well, and whatever you do basically is for them. It's not necessarily for you. Your success is their success, and their success is your success.
From your personal perspective, would you advise or would you agree that investors should be considering marriage in order for them to be more productive or whatever? You know, for does marriage...
I don't wanna go down that route.
Yeah.
It's each one for himself.
Yeah.
Each one for himself. You determine the way that you think. But I mean, marriage, as I said, or family, I should say, does calm you down because the success that you achieve is basically their success. So it's something of a driver as well.
Yeah, I like that you guys went out to an island for your honeymoon. How do you feel about investing in islands?
Well, if I had the money, I would buy Mauritius. But it's yeah. So I mean, it depends. To me, it's about what you can invest into.
So if you had the money, would you buy an island?
Yeah, like what's it? Richard Branson. Yeah, I mean, he bought an island. So if I was like him, I probably would do the same thing. But as long as you can develop it, it's not just about buying a piece of land and then doing nothing with it. Yeah.
So how would you develop it in a sense that it makes an income? Because remember, we are investors.
I suppose you set it up as a hotel or sort of a house, almost like I think you spoke about Airbnbs off camera. So maybe do a sort of Airbnb, which is unique in that it'll be an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or wherever. And that's something that people want to do.
Yeah, off camera, we're speaking about the Airbnb situation in Cape Town, where there's a lot of Airbnbs. It makes me wonder, which one do you prefer between Joburg and Cape Town?
I like Joburg. I suppose because I'm in it. I think Cape Town is more sort of a holiday destination. You go there and sort of see the sights and the sounds, and then you come back. You would have had an enjoyable time, but it's not day to day for me.
Okay, many Joburgers are like that. Then, do you have any place you'd prefer to be living in, like have a house and say, I live here, or Joburg is the one for you?
I spent 8 years in Durban, and I think I liked it. If I could retire, maybe that's something to think about there.
Also,
more the coast. Again, the warmth of the Indian Ocean. Yeah, I mean, I liked Durban a lot because it was more sort of quieter. It wasn't as loud as not as loud as Joburg, not as, I suppose now, not as rushed as Cape Town. I think Durban is sort of the quiet of the two. Yeah.
Going back to islands, if we come up with an island REIT, would you invest in it? Just
No, of
islands
course.
in our REITs.
No, of course, but it depends what it offers again.
Yeah. Good idea, bad idea.
Again, depends on what the investment opportunity is.
Yeah. Okay, now I hear what you're saying. And then looking back at your background, who do you say elevated you or contributed to your overall success?
I think to me, people I looked up to, one was my dad. I mean, he was a doctor. I mean, studied in the University of Natal, and I ended up following him there. But then he came back to the place where he was born to look after the people, basically. I mean, he could have gone anywhere around the country and made lots and lots and lots of money, but I think his heart was in the right place in terms of where he grew up, wanting to look after the community there.
Oh, okay.
But from I think from a work perspective, there was a lady that I'd worked with when I was in Investec. I mean, we were all basically almost like the same age, but I think she'd had more sort of experience in terms of being at the right level. And also she'd started her own company, which ended up becoming very successful. It was bought by Investec. So there was, and when I joined her, and we ended up doing great things together.
Nice. Wow. How do you feel about mentorship?
I do a lot of mentorship in my space. But again, to me, people come and you mentor them and you guide them, and they disappear. And then when they want you to mentor them again, said, no, listen, come back whenever you want. It's not a set process in my mind. If you need guidance here and there, go for it. Normally what they do is that they'll, for instance, if they're at a fork in the road in their lives, to say, should I look at this way? Should I look at going this route? And then that's when they come back, and then we discuss, and they'll just come to me for guidance. They'll still have to make the decision themselves.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So that means you have a nice network.
That's what I teach my kids. Try and network, make sure that you know a lot of people. More from you get through the door very quickly if at least you know somebody in the company, or there's somebody that you can call and say, listen, I need this. How can you help me? It becomes much easier. They're not necessarily going to do everything for you. You still need to perform, but it just gives you a foot in the door.
Nice. How do you approach networking?
To me, it just happens naturally. You try and be who you are, but still look after and understand what people's needs are. And for instance, when somebody's got a birthday, engage them, say, how's it? People, I mean, everybody loves, suppose, a birthday, without necessarily doing anything over and above. Just to say, how's it? Listen, I'm still here, support you, happy birthday, and then that's it.
Nice. And then how do you approach meeting new people? If you want to meet new people, what do you do?
I'm sort of quiet-ish. So to me, it'll happen on its own. It'll more sort of evolve, but getting to know people is still easy, even though I am quiet. But again, they might not have a lot to talk about, but if we do have something in common, then at least the friendship will blossom.
Yeah. That's so great, man. My favorite question that I wanted to ask you is, What was the best investment you've ever made?
You mean physical investment? To me, I think getting married was an investment. Again, if one is not looking at it like that, again, education was an investment. Because I think, I mean, having done sort of an MBA at least gives you a broader understanding of business dynamics, understanding what's required, how to approach things, what outcomes you should be looking for, which is what I'm doing, what I'm using a lot now. Again, networking, this and this, a whole lot of things. But from actually physical investment, I invested into, I think, in Netcare at some point, and a company called Merafe Resources. Those were sort of personal investments, and at least I came out smiling out of those.
Wow, Netcare. Netcare made a nice return for
Yeah,
you.
definitely. And actually, Merafe was even better.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. Your answer totally surprised me. From the marriage to the MBA, to even like Morafe. That's very surprising. Now, with that being said, I heard that there's an MBA. I think my aunt has an MBA in the University of Cape Town. So she was telling me the best part about it is negotiation. How do you negotiate?
I think to me it should be a win-win situation for both parties. Um, that's how I approach a lot of things. To say I don't necessarily want to win over you necessarily, but it's not about that. But it's about concluding the deal or transaction that we're working on. Everybody gets a slice of the return. For instance, if we're selling a property, I don't necessarily want to squeeze you totally. There should be something that you leave on the table so that at least the other person gets a benefit as well. As long as you're getting the return that you were looking for in the first place, you don't necessarily have to go above and beyond that.
Okay, it has to be fair. So in your MBA, because you got your MBA when they were still fresh. I don't know if you feel that way, because nowadays MBAs are overpopulated, you know. So what was the most precious thing that you learned during your MBA?
I mean, your comment that MBAs are now more prevalent, I think that's good for society. Because I suppose at a point in time, everybody is uplifting themselves in order to do better. Suppose now we're going to start to see a lot of PhDs, DBAs, etc. So nothing wrong with that. The whole society is basically uplifting themselves.
Why didn't you go for a DBA?
No, I'm too lazy now. I'm focusing on too many things. I think I think maybe because I'm in the doctorates, they basically, I think it's a 3 to 5 year period where you basically got to be focusing on your thesis. I think a lot of work for now. I think let me finish the capital raising, investing, and then I think once I'm halfway there, then maybe it's something I'll think about.
So then, if you had the energy, what would your thesis be about for your DBA?
I think more sort of how to set up structures which are beneficial to society, even though I think I spoke about impact investing, I think earlier on off camera. I like that because most of my life, working life, there's been an element of sort of financial return added with some sort of societal impact in a lot of the stuff that I've been doing. And I like mixing those two because it's not only just focusing on financial returns, but there's got to be something whatever investing you're doing, there's got to be an element of societal impact out of that.
So I understand, okay, you didn't go for the DBA, but you went for the REY.
It's a requirement at the moment. When I was in Investec as a portfolio manager, that's when I think they introduced Phase Act. And at that point, because I had sort of completed the MBA, people weren't sure whether you needed to do it or not. But now that I was out of sort of investing game or listed property, and I now need to go back to it. So the period has lapsed. I now need to basically do the RE exam again, because now also joining a new company.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And you're joining the new company as a fund manager.
Yeah.
What makes a great fund manager?
Somebody who's aware. Aware in terms of what's happening in the markets, just sort of nuances around the stocks that you're investing into, understanding somebody with guided, who understands exactly what they want to achieve. For instance, you say, I'll only invest when, for instance, the stock is, for instance, if you talk about the growth point, for instance, if it drops below 12 Rand, I'll start investing into it. Once it drops, once it sort of goes up about 14 Rand, then I'll start selling some. I'll take some profits. So it's always trying to keep a band and be very focused around that.
Okay, and then what does a task list of a great fund manager look like on a daily basis? What do you think every great fund manager should be doing?
Again, as I said, keeping your ear to the ground in terms of where markets are going, and understanding, for instance, read a lot in terms of where the markets are going, what each stock brings, what is the potential for that stock to do better than the market. And of course, during portfolio construction, be convinced of the route that you've taken. Yeah.
Okay, so we are about to close, and you just started a new chapter. As we are starting a new chapter at MSM, how do you feel is the journey taking you? Where is the journey taking you from the way you feel?
I'm like a leaf in water.
Yeah.
It'll take me where it takes me, but I know where I want to get to. Again, you know what you want to achieve. So, you'll know when you get there. You'll know when you get there that now at least I've done what I was set out to do.
Okay. Our tradition in the show is that the guest gets to share that one special tip for the viewers. What's your one tip that you'd like to share?
Tip around what?
Around anything and everything in being successful in investing.
I think be comfortable in your skin. That's I think that's the first and last tip. Be comfortable in who you are. If you want to achieve stuff, go out. If you think that the job that you're doing, you're not happy with it, expand your knowledge and see where it takes you. But again, be comfortable in knowing what you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. And then, what's the meaning of money to you?
I suppose money is a means to an end. As I said, to me, as long as you make a lot of money, but if you're not making an impact on society, what's the use of the money? I'm not saying don't drive around in Lamborghinis or whatever, but do something else for somebody else.
Yeah, so you do say that. If you want a Lamborghini, get a Lamborghini.
Yeah, but there's got to be do something for, maybe choose one person out of everybody that you interact with, and then make sure that you uplift them as well.
Yeah, make an impact in society. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the man. Make an impact in society with what you got. We could go on and on, but this is the time we have for today. Thank you a lot. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.